I wanted to accomplish with this? To tell the story of Holocaust, which were part of my life when I was only 17. With that, I wanted to make a bridge between different nationalities, religion, color, or creed.
The end of World War I meant peace and a new beginning for different countries. Germany had to take the blame for the war and pay the reparations due to the Treaty of Versailles. As a result, Germany experienced great debt and embarrassment. Soon, Germany's government gained a new political party, known as the Nazis. The leader of the Nazis, Adolf Hitler, rose to power and became the new dictator of Germany. Hitler blamed the Jews for their loss from the war. Therefore, the Nazis forced harsh propaganda against the Jews. Irene Gut Opdyke was a rescuer in the Holocaust who began her journey as a nurse at the age of 17. She was captured and forced to work in Soviet Union facilities. Later on, she was able to hide 12 Jewish refugees in the home of an army general. Irene tells her story in her book entitled In My Hands: Memories of a Holocaust Rescuer. Jeannie Smith, the daughter of Irene, describes her mother's difficult journey throughout the Holocaust.
And the home that she was raised in was very open to having different nationalities, and they didn't classify people by who they were, what they were, where they came from. She was very surprised when Hitler invaded, and she kind of learned what was happening to the Jews along the way.
On September 1st, 1939, Hitler sent the German army to attack Poland. The Nazis bombed Poland and sent 1.5 million soldiers to destroy all of Poland's history and culture. Citizens were beaten, arrested, or executed. The country was left in ruins. This event was known as the Invasion of Poland, which began World War II.
Her first thoughts were her home, her parents, her sisters. Were they okay? Was her home still standing? Or has anybody that she knew heard? Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though, in later years, the 4th of July is a big holiday, obviously, in the United States. And it took me a while to realize why my mom didn't like it. She mm-hmm. didn't like seeing the fireworks. She didn't like the smoke that it caused. It was really something that brought back bad memories. So I think it affected her even later in life after thinking about all these events.
On October 8, 1939, Poland lost all power to Germany. The Soviet Union and Germany divided Poland for their own territories. All Jewish refugees and Polish citizens had lost rights. Ghettos were established in Poland for refugees and Polish citizens who had been captured during the invasion. Catchers and soldiers were on the lookout for refugees. There were no remains of Poland's existence. During the time of this news, Irene was a nurse helping hurt citizens from the invasion with the Red Cross.
Yes, she did very much love her country. In fact, she used to say that the year she was born was one of the few times that Poland was actually a free country that wasn't occupied by somebody. Its past has been checkered with other companies invading it. And so to lose that, to lose her country, was devastating for her. And that is something that she used to talk about. And because of that, her pride and her care for the United States probably was magnified more, so she carried that over to this country. And she wouldn't let anybody badmouth it. So.
After the invasion, ghettos were set up all around Poland. These were areas made especially for Jews or refugees to live in. The ghettos had poor conditions, and many people suffered in these areas. The ghettos were monitored by Nazi police and often had death marches or mass shootings. The largest ghetto was established in Warsaw, the capital of Poland. In her 20s, Irene was captured by Soviet Union soldiers and forced to work as a nurse for those facilities. After some time, she was able to escape and return to the newly German-occupied Poland. In Poland, Irene was forced to work in a hotel kitchen where Nazi officers often held their meetings. Nearby her job was a ghetto, where she saw a first-hand look of a death march take place.
I'm sure sheer panic. I think that watching was the death march is what it's called now. Of course, she didn't know that then.
Yeah.
But it really was the eye-opening factor of her realizing what was happening to the Jews. And I think it was that event and that day that she decided, she made a promise to herself, to God, that if she was given the opportunity to help, she would. So it was really a life-changing, and horrific event. I think she saw firsthand that hatred is more than somebody not liking something. It's a life and death kind of a situation, and you can't be passive about it.
Hitler was moving with the blitzkrieg very fast, and I first time realized what was happening to the Jewish people.
Przez sekundę nie myślą, znaczy nie wyobrażają sobie to, co tutaj się działo w Polsce.
We did have to witness Polish family be hung together with the Jewish family. To be a warning what happened when you befriended a Jew.
I believe the hardest thing that my mom went through during that time truly was seeing people being murdered and killed for their religion, for who they were.
So then I pray and promise I will help.
During Irene's time in the hotel kitchen, she became close friends with many fugitives. She promised them their safety by providing them a place to hide. At the time, Irene became a maid for Major Rugemer and stayed to work at his villa. In the attic and basement of the home, Irene hid her friends in hopes that the Major would not find out. However, soon the Major found out, but decided to help Irene and her friends.
Well, dangers were huge all throughout Europe during the Holocaust. Helping a Jew meant big trouble, but in Poland, helping a Jew was death for you and your immediate family, meaning her parents, her sisters, everybody would have been wiped out. So it was the ultimate of danger, ultimate of crisis. She did find out afterwards. She was reunited with her sisters, and so she was able to find out. Her father was shot and killed at one point, and her mother had a stroke, and the younger of the sisters were farmed out to relatives and neighbors. They were not able to finish school because of the war, and they grew up rather poor, and stayed close together somewhat. I think 3 out of the 4 were married, and they were very affected by Chernobyl years later, the poisoning of the ground and their gardens and things. So their health was not nearly as good as hers when they did meet up in their 60s. Even though Mom was the oldest, she looked the youngest.
In 1945, there was much destruction from the Holocaust. A total of 6 million Jews were killed throughout Europe. Displaced persons camps, or DP camps, were made to help any remaining Jews after the event. Both Jewish and non-Jewish refugees were recruited into DP camps. However, these people were not interested in staying in Europe and wanted to move to other countries due to post-war difficulties. A majority of refugees moved to the United States from the DP camps. Irene was one of those people and started her new life in America.
She struggled whether to stay in Poland or not because she would have liked to have found her sisters, but she was afraid. By then she was wanted by the Russians and the Germans. And she had no idea that if she could locate a sister, if they were still alive, she could bring trouble to them. And she was interviewed in that camp by an American delegate who had invited her to come to the United States. Well, her first wish was to go to Israel, actually, if she couldn't stay in Poland, but she did end up coming to the United States. So, she, I think, left honestly not knowing if she had any family left, and was afraid to locate them. So she started again here. She said when she came into Ellis Harbor, she stood on the bow of the boat and looked at the Statue of Liberty, and she just said, it's a free country and I have a fresh beginning and a new start. And she said that's when she put a do not disturb sign over all of her memories. She was just going to start fresh. And she truly had the ability to, because anybody who knew her, she didn't talk about her story for years and years. I never learned of her story until I was 14. It wasn't until we got a phone call one night. We were eating dinner and Mom got up to answer it. There was a college student who was doing a phone survey for school, and his topic was the Holocaust never happened. And he was just calling random people to find out what they thought. She told him what she thought about that. And, I remember looking at my dad at one point going, what in the world is she talking about? And my dad was the only person in this country who knew her story because he was a UN delegate who had interviewed her in Germany. I remember when my mom hung up the phone, she looked at us with tears in her eyes, and she just said, all these years that I've kept silent, I've allowed evil, and I've allowed the enemy to win. And she said, if we don't talk about it and we don't learn from what history has done and what hate can do, history will just keep repeating itself. And that's when she started speaking, and really that was the first time I had ever heard her story. history is repeating itself. It has never stopped. Hate is growing like a cancer. It's growing locally and globally. It's in every community. It's in homes. It's in neighborhoods. And so my mom would say one person can make a difference. It has to start in an individual. Nothing's going to change until we as individuals do that, until people are courageous enough to not stand by, to be a bystander. And so the encouragement is to be an upstander, to, be willing to make a difference. And it doesn't have to be any great big thing. You don't have to hide 12 people in a German major's house at the threat of death. But, if you put one drop of water in a pond, that ripple effect goes on. And so one kindness can do the same thing. It can change somebody.